So
coming in. It's like, like even with my knee problem, they also said I got arthritis.
Well,
in
yeah,
my knee.
because when the cartilage wears away, that's when the joint starts to swell. And that's why the old folks, when they say, "Oh, I got the rheumatism, it's going to rain."
Yep.
The reason for that is when the pressure drops, that's when you have thunderstorms. So they don't say when the pressure's high that it's going to be good weather because they don't notice it. But when it swells up, because lower pressure makes it expand, and that's why the knee hurts.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel it ever since I had my surgery.
Well, yeah, once you open the joint, the game's over.
Yeah, when I had my surgery, now it's like I can feel the weather change.
Right, right. And that's the thing. Once the joint's open, the game is afoot.
And then twitch. And that's going.
okay, so you guys are all set.
Yep.
As soon as you hit the timer, you're active.
Okay, we're almost done with the pre-show. Shall we begin?
Yes. Oh, that was from Anatole Godot while waiting for Godot. Shall we go? Yes. And they both stay there. It's on your door.
Right. A lot of people have commented on that over the years.
Yeah. So you ready to go? Yeah, let's go. That's what they do. They say, okay, let's go. They just sit there.
Let me check my hair.
Mick, can you turn the volume on the orange fader up?
The gain.
1, 2, the gain, sure. Yeah, a little higher. Right about there. Thank you.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Okay. Jason, when you're ready, I will hit the start button.
I'm ready. Sweet
Okay.
play.
Watch the timer.
Okay. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the No Exit Experience. The bus can always be late like the train, but it can never be early. So welcome, where everyone gets a chance to talk and no one is excluded, with the exception of those who trample on the speech of others. Why am I getting echo?
That was me.
It's a show where all topics are welcome and no one is censored from giving their honest views on those topics. If you can handle that, then hop on the bus. You're in for a wild ride. My name is Jason, and I'm the driver today. My passengers today include Richard across from me, got Robbie, and we got Mick on the engineering end. Comments are welcome, and also if you're so privy, you can get in the Zoom room. So we have a list of topics today, but I think we're going to preempt that with over last night, the U.S. and Israel bombed Iran. So that's all I heard. I don't know anything about it, so I don't have anything to say on it.
Everybody who insures the oil tankers going past the Iran Strait of Hormuz, policy's canceled.
Great.
What's that going to do to the price of gas?
It's gonna go up.
Yeah, I mean,
It's gonna go up.
and it's trickle down because the petroleum is cracked into the gas, so less supply. And that's why good thing I'm going to fill my car up. You know. Yeah. I went to college with Dan Kane. He was 2 years ahead of me. He was Delta Company commander, but I don't know if he had any other command roles. Even though he became a lieutenant general in the Air Force, he was active duty to a point, then he was reserve, and then he got the CIA job. But I don't know if he was ever in command of anything. And then to pick him out of that was the worst pick since Ray Spruance got picked ahead of 30 other admirals in World War II to be an admiral. But even Dan Kane said, that's bad news. Don't bomb Iran. But dumb Donnie, who wanted a Medal of Honor, but he said that they told me I can't give myself one. So what could go wrong? What do you think, Robbie?
I'm gonna ask a question though, because I mean I'm an independent. I'm not a big I'm not siding with the Democrats. I'm not siding with the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna break a treaty, it's like, what can you do about it? I mean, if you're telling Iran, please, no nuclear weapons, and yet you're bringing nuclear weapons into the game, then something's got to give.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Well, the U.S. had a treaty with Iran that was in it
With Obama.
Yeah.
and Trump tore it up.
Yeah. If you put a bird over a bird's nest right above you, can't be surprised when it shits on you. I mean, it ain't brain surgery. But what's weird is I align politically independent, but because of the rhetoric with the current administration, I had just as much vitriol towards the Democratic administration as I do to this one. So I sound like I'm being pushed to the other side. So people now say I'm a liberal. Well, they said I was a conservative before. But, the thing is, if you're on the periphery, you can yell loud. You can be AOC or you can be Charlie Kirk, and you scream and yell and everybody hears you. If you're moderate in the middle, nobody can hear you. So that's why the people on the extremes are the ones that shout so much. And my last comment on this was a Doonesbury from about 40 years ago when Mark Slackmeyer had his new boyfriend, Chase. Chase was a financial guy. It's when he came out as gay. And Chase met Mark's father, and they found out they had a lot more in common. The only difference was their preference. But otherwise, they really meshed together. And that's what he thought. The father had this demonizing thought. If you're gay, you're degenerate, blah, 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 blah. He said, wait a minute, that's the only, and that's why Scott Bessent, now we can accept that. He's, to use a very quaint phrase, he's queerer than a $3 bill, but he will also he will beat everybody to death. That guy is tough. He is a man before he's a gay man. And he threatened to beat Howard Lutnick up, that he wanted to take him outside because he wouldn't shut his mouth. That was about a year and a half ago. And he'll follow up with it. I mean, Bessent is 33 or 63, and he has the body of a 50-year-old. That guy will kick your ass.
But here's the thing I'm thinking. If it doesn't last long, I'm fine with it. But I don't want it to be like the Iraq War, which was First of all, I do not like George W. Bush. I can't stand him. I can't stand looking at him. I mean, for him to go in Iraq when there's no weapons of mass destruction, mind you. I mean, if there was, he must have looked under the desk and couldn't find it. But if this lasts, just for a couple days, I'm good with it. You don't get rid of the nuclear weapons. There shouldn't even be countries having nuclear weapons right now.
Well, but that's pie in the sky wishing, that that cat's already out of the bag. That genie's out of the bottle. The thing is, from back in 91, Desert Storm, that's what they said. The problem was stopping at Kuwait. They should have kept going to gone to Baghdad. They could have done that. Storm and Norman could have gone to Baghdad and turned it over. Instead, 10 years later, we get mired in Vietnam Part 2.
That's what it was. Well, the Iraq War was nothing but a Vietnam Part 2. Because there's that's where I think the division started happening. You got one that wanted the war, you got people that didn't want the war.
Well, that always occurs, though. When what did Benjamin Franklin say? 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. If you want 6 different opinions, get 5 doctors in a room. Okay, so anybody have anything else to add on bombing Iran?
No.
Okay. And the interesting thing, the last coda is the Shia and Sunni, I forget who's whom, but the Iranian are different Muslims than everybody else. And,
No, they're Shiite.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't remember who's whom. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know who is the Shia and who is the Sunni. Shia and Shiite are the same thing. I didn't know which.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't keep that straight. But whatever the Iranians are, and also if you want to piss off an Iranian, call him an Arab.
Well, there's an easy way to tell the difference between what you call Shia and Sunni. Where did Muhammad come from? Wow. Do you happen to?
I couldn't tell you.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what happens is he had all these followers in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Muhammad got old, he said, I am now going to decide who is going to replace me. Case, last will and testament, right?
Yeah.
Has the scholars come in, they write it all up. I want this guy to replace me, and that is what I want. Signs it, all witnessed and everything. So he dies. Everybody in Saudi Arabia says, okay, you're next in line. But the people in other countries have different customs. So in Iran, they say, what's this about writing down who's going to replace you? It's who's next in the bloodline. Everybody knows that. You can't bypass a bloodline.
Sounds like North Korea.
Isn't that something?
Well,
so what they do is they say, we're not going to recognize the second, the guy from the will. We're going to recognize something like his nephew.
Mm-hmm.
So the nephew becomes the head of the Shiite. And then The nephew dies, and then his heir, and then guess what happens after a few generations? No more heir.
Oh,
So what do they do in Iran? They say, we're going to wait for God to send us an heir. Sounds like Christianity, doesn't it?
sure does.
In the meantime, every single temple is going to have its own ruler.
What could go wrong?
See, they call those the mullahs. So technically, what Iran is maybe 40 or 50 mullahs who all agree that this head mullah that they vote on will be in charge. And that's the Ayatollah.
How does that make that easy for me to remember who's Shiite and who's Sunni? I can't remember the names. You know what I mean? I can't remember.
Well, Saudi Arabia is Sunni because that's where it started.
Okay, I don't see a logical connection there.
It started there, and they followed the exact will and testament of Muhammad.
Is that what Sunni means?
It means that if you know, or you're trying to say, how do we know Sunni is Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because
Because that's where it started. See, if you had known where Islam had started, you would know immediately.
no, what I'm saying is, I thought you were thinking like a town. I'm thinking like Mecca, Medina, or some.
Which is in Saudi Arabia.
Right. I didn't know you were looking for Saudi Arabia. I knew that. I thought you were referring to some little whatever you call this corner here by Doyle. You know, this little neighborhood is. Which, if you're not from here, you don't even know what it's called. I thought it was something like that.
You see the connection now.
But I don't see how the word Sunni connects to Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm saying. That's all. Because they're abstract words to me, and I know that each one is one of them, but I don't know which one applies to which. That's all. I don't remember that because I don't have the logical basis. You know, like of the 12ers and the niece or the nephew, and because it doesn't appeal to me, and it doesn't change my worldview.
And you're saying even with what I told you, you can't remember it?
I'll
now?
try now, but I don't talk about it enough to keep
just
it clear.
ask yourself, where did Islam start?
And then I just have to make that association of Sunni.
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Yeah, but like, what about the people in Africa or in Asia? Are those also Sunni? You know what I mean? That's what I'm.
Well, now, this is an interesting thing. All right. So now let's take Iraq. Iraq split in two. Like some of the areas in Iraq said, "Oh, we want to be Sunni. You know, we want the official representative in
Yeah.
the will." And others said, "No, we kind of like the way Iran is doing it." So it got split in two. And the way they resolved it is with Saddam Hussein, who was Sunni, but he was sort of like Queen Elizabeth in England.
That explains.
What is it you want, my Shiite brothers? Oh, you want to have more say? Okay, you have more say. He was very conciliatory. So what happens then is after Iraq gets overthrown, who takes over?
The Sunnis.
You would think so, but no. The Shiite took over.
Who outpopulates? I don't know what the population breakdown is in Iraq.
I wish I knew that.
I don't know if it's equal or if one.
And then you have Afghanistan, almost all Shiite.
Oh, and do you know what history books call Afghanistan?
No.
The graveyard of graveyard of nations.
The thing of it is, who does America want? Shiites or Sunnis?
Follow the money,
Exactly.
and then you can figure out what it is.
Yeah. America always wants stability, so that when we sell you something, we want to know we're going to get paid. You know,
And-
and if we buy something, we want to know we're going to get delivered. We don't really care if you're a dictator or whatever.
Just put it in my yard. And what was that line from Full Metal Jacket? Inside every Vietnamese is an American who's struggling to get out. Because America does that, but China is the one. Wherever China invaded became Chinese. They didn't go into somewhere, and they made it Chinese. That they didn't let them have their own culture, and that's why 93% of China is Han Chinese. And that's the thing. The Mongols have been subsumed. The Manchu and the other two groups. There's very few, but if you took 1 or 7 representative people on Earth, one of them would be Han Chinese. That's nuts. Okay, so we've beaten that one up. Anybody else have anything else to say on that?
Is that related to the State of the Union, or is that different?
That's different.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll get to that, but we have a couple old topics. So, a soul made evident.
Great quote.
Oh,
Tell me if it inspires you. All right.
Okay.
The measure of a person's soul, or lack thereof, can be measured by what they can carve on a white piece of paper. You want to hear my interpretation of that?
Yes, please.
You want to get to know somebody, write to them. And see if they write back and see what they say.
I kind of agree with that.
I have a counterpoint.
Because people can bullshit you in person,
Yeah.
but when they're alone and they're writing their thoughts to you, you start to see things that you didn't see when you were talking to them in person.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that way because I feel like I can express my feelings writing it down.
Yeah.
I'm just too nervous to because I'm not a confrontational guy. I'm not.
Right.
Not gonna.
Well, I have a counterpoint to that because when I was in college, it was all white and black. We had a couple of ties, but we didn't have, and maybe less than 5 Jewish guys. Nobody that was Muslim or showing it, and nothing that wasn't like more than half I was in Virginia, more than half the class was from Virginia. So I didn't know anybody who was foreign born and knew English as a second language fluently until I went to med school. And I remember the one guy, he'd written something down. He was speaking fluidly like what we are, but his writing, it was barely readable because the writing was difficult for him because English wasn't his first language.
You mean typing?
No, handwriting.
Oh.
That written,
Well,
like, I mean, his
I'm the same way. If I can't read somebody's handwriting, I can't even communicate with
but
them.
it wasn't illegible. It was the wrong tenses, and it was the
So
wrong.
if he had typed it out, it would still be illegible.
I mean, illegible means unable to read. I could read it, but I should see all the errors that were in there. You know, like
Well, could you understand it?
yes,
Okay.
but it was difficult to understand because we will have spaghetti yesterday, things like that.
Well, like my friend Claudia is from Argentina,
Yeah,
and she has a whole different way of translating her Spanish ideas into English words. And I can understand what she's saying, but at the same time, there's not a lot of people who talk like her.
and that's what I mean, though. So, and that's why I don't. The writing assumes a lot. One, that they're educated. Two, that you understand their language.
So when Claudia's best friend died, he committed suicide. She said, "When I heard about Brian's suicide, I walked around carrying that suitcase with me all day." Which was her way of saying I couldn't get it off my mind.
Oh, yeah, because those are the idioms, and
So obviously there must be some kind of Spanish phrase.
Right.
you
Well,
know.
it's like that the French say "il ne marche pas." Like we say it doesn't work. That means it doesn't walk. "Il ne marche pas." Oh, ma voiture, "il ne marche pas." My car isn't working. And so that, yeah, it's idiomatic. It was like when Celeste was trying to name or word check me, but I used the example of belle-mère, which means beautiful woman, but that replaced marâtre for stepmother. And now belle-mère sounds better. You know, like you've heard of the French say, calling somebody your artichoke because the word sounds good. You know?
So my solution when I talk to her is, if she says something that is, tough to translate, I'll say, "Are you saying?" And I put it in my phrase, and then she'll either say yes or no. So
Yeah. Well, there's a guy I used to know who had a shirt. He did German in high school and college. Well, actually, he did set design in college, but he also took German. And he had a shirt that said something. And I say, not what does it say? What does it mean? He said, you can't translate it. That's bullshit. Like Schadenfreude, that's a word that you can translate it as taking pleasure in someone else's failings. I mean, the word can be translated, just not directly transliterated.
yeah, he probably was saying to you, every time I've tried to translate it, people couldn't understand it.
And
That
that's
doesn't mean that he just didn't find the right phrase.
yeah, and that means he didn't have a total grasp of the language.
Probably.
So
I just worry about people talking in different languages around me. I don't know if they're swearing and what if they're talking about me or not.
People that worry about what other people think of them will be surprised to find out how little other people think of them, or how infrequently other people think of them. That's to paraphrase Eleanor Roosevelt, I think. Yeah, that you worry what they're talking. It's not about you. You know, everybody's a hero of their own story. You know that if you're worried that they're talking about you, they're not.
Look at that fat American. Yeah, all right. I don't know about that at all.
You know, I've often wondered, let's say you're a diplomat. You have a fluent knowledge of Russian. Is it better if you don't tell anybody so that when you're at a meeting with Vladimir Putin and he's telling something to his translator who's telling it to you, you know if the translator is changing things a bit?
You never know.
If you understood Russian, you're not really reliable as a translator.
I wouldn't say
he
that
was
to him.
swearing at me there, and you left that out.
Well, that's what did they say about the U.S. and the U.K.? Two brother countries separated by a shared language. You know,
even though there's stuff that are like a cigarette is called a fag in England.
well,
It's like,
Yeah,
I
what do you
took
call
the,
me a fag for?
yeah.
I took a lift to my flat. What? I took the elevator to my apartment. But if you remember that, what was his name, De Gaulle, when he had a speech that was being translated in French, demander is to ask. It's not demand. It's not transliterated. It's a what we call a false friend, a faux ami, like la marine.
So he was saying,
Nous demandons. We are asking, and the American translator was saying, we demand.
oh,
I don't know. I thought you might have heard that story.
no.
Yeah, it was a transliteration. It was about, I think it might have been in the 50s.
Did somebody call him out for that?
After the diplomatic fallout was horrible, saying these demanding French. You know, when it was a very well written speech in French.
So the translator was never called on the carpet.
I don't know what the fallout was, but that guy got away scot free because the translation was wrong, and the people said,
'Cause technically, that translator shouldn't be given a job ever again.
right, and that was the thing that De Gaulle, the papers, you know, like the New York Times, the L.A. Times, the Trib in Chicago, De Gaulle demands American help. The headline says 1,000
Yeah.
words. You
I'd
know,
like to look into that.
yeah, look, because that was something that we covered in French class. You know, in French 3.
Yeah.
So after that digression, and that was a plot that was on Law and Order, and they reused for Law and Order UK. They reused American scripts to make them in the UK, and that happened in one of the things in the Law and Order. It was in Spanish, and in the UK it was in French. When the guy they're having somebody translate, and the guy who doesn't speak the language says in English, "I didn't say that," and he busts himself, and it blows the whole thing open. Okay, so anything else to add to that, anybody?
No.
Okay, what is the swimmer?
The short story. I'll tell you the short story, and then you tell me what the moral of the story is.
Okay.
It's the 1960s, and a guy has a good job at an ad agency, corner office, windows, whole bit, and he decides that it's a Friday, and it's a beautiful day. Tells the secretary, "Do I have any more appointments?" She says, "No." He says, "Okay, I'm going to call it a day." Gets in his car, and he's driving home, and he decides to try an experiment since it's such a nice day out. And he parks his car outside of his street. And he gets out of the car, and he goes to the first house, and he walks in the backyard, and they have a swimming pool. He goes for a swim in the swimming pool. The people in the house come out. "Oh, hi, so-and-so. Well, you know, they recognize you, your neighbor. Come on over here, have a drink, sit down, we'll talk to you." They sit down, does a little socializing. Then he goes to the next house, swims in their swimming pool. Neighbors come out, etc. Well, by the time he gets to the fourth house, things start changing. People are less welcoming, and they're more shocked. Like, "What are you doing in our pool?" And, you know, and the weather starts getting darker. So he keeps going to the next pool, and each time it's getting darker and darker out. And sometimes their neighbors they'll just look at them through the windows. They won't even come out to talk to him. He goes to one house, and they say, "Are you sure you should be here?" Which he doesn't know what that means. And then he gets to the house next door to his, which is his girlfriend on the side. And she says, "I told you, never contact me again," and slams the door on him. Now he gets to his house, and it's raining and pouring and lightning, and he takes the final swim, and he goes up on his back patio, and the door is locked. And he looks through a window. There's no furniture left in the house. And so he walks around to the front, and it says, "For sale by owner." Now, that short story was written, and the person who wrote it, his name is John Cheever.
Oh, okay.
He was a professor.
Mhm.
And in his classes, his students would often say, "Tell us what the meaning of that story is." And he said, "Well, how about you tell me what you think the meaning is?" And students would always gravitate toward this one interpretation that he never thought of. Okay? John Cheever thought, oh, this is about a man who is living inside of his head and obsessing about his past. So he's thinking in his head, yeah, I still have that job at that ad agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am friends with all the neighbors. And he's thinking about all these good things. But then eventually it dawns on him that all that's gone. And he's sitting in a rented room dwelling on his history. And the student said, that's sort of what it's about. But his history declined because of his alcoholism. That's why everybody was offering him drinks in the beginning. See?
Mm-hmm.
And his alcoholism is what destroyed his marriage, which is why he had to leave the residence as part of the divorce, and now his wife is moving out.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was thinking when you were saying he has a drink at each one. By the fourth house, is that in vino veritas, but the truth really hurts, and then by the time he gets hammered by the end, that's what I was thinking, because one drink is social lubricant. 10 drinks, you're drowning in oil.
Yeah, it's like if you drink so much, you're pretty much like thinking about the past. What are you're bringing up the past. No, that's not good.
Well, it's like that song "Missing" from Everyone But the Girl, and there's a line, "You're all gone, but I can't move on," and that line just reverberates with me. That when the tide comes in and out, but you're a pole in the beach that's 10 or 12 foot high, so it never gets subsumed. But the tide comes in and out, and you're stuck there. That's what I think of. And or that song, "The Old Apartment," because I heard it coming in from the Bare Naked Ladies. But the thing is that the guy who wrote it, one of the Bare Naked Ladies, said it's not a sad song, but it starts out with "broke into the old apartment," and it sounds like they broke up, and the person is reminiscing for the good times. But the people that wrote it said no, they're happily together and they're just remembering back. It doesn't sound like it, Like
I know
it's our good old days. Yeah, when we used to yell and scream and throw shit at each other.
And stomp on the floor just for fun.
And and that's
you know the song?
Yeah.
And that's what
Takes his dish rack back.
and Billy Joel said the good old days weren't always good, and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems. And that's 40 years ago already. That's one of those. I thought it was something maybe by Camus, or who's the other the guy with the bum eye?
Sartre.
Sartre. Yeah, I thought it was one of them that might have written it. Sartre. You got to say it with venom. So let's see.
Do you know why they had a falling out, by the way?
No, I don't. I don't recall. I might have, but I don't know. Is it because one of them won an award, won a Nobel Prize?
That's interesting. No, it wasn't that. It was the fact that they were both philosophers who believed that the goal of philosophy was to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they disagreed on how do you change the world. Now, Sartre saw what was happening in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and he says the communists have a good idea there. They are taking control of the government and running it for the working people,
Mm-hmm.
and I support that. And Camus said they're turning it into a dictatorship with one person in charge. And Sartre said, well, you have to have one person in charge. And Camus said, no, you don't. You have to have a whole democracy in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they started drifting like this, you know what I mean? They both, it's like they both respected each other, but they didn't really want to have anything to do with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tip O'Neill said it, all politics is local. And when you think about it, yeah. And one of the things that the Soviets always knew is if you need order in Moscow, you bring Uzbek or Kazakh soldiers into Moscow. Or you bring St. Petersburg police to Moscow and you bring Moscow cops to St. Petersburg because you can't have local people are corrupt and all politics is local. That's why you bring other locals to different locals. That's why you get order because you have no problem shooting somebody that doesn't look like you. You have a lot of problems shooting somebody that does look like you.
Yeah, but doesn't that cause problems?
That's what the dictatorship.
No, that's what the Tsar did.
Yeah, that's how they crush dissent.
But it didn't work with the Tsar.
And it didn't work with the communists either. You know that.
So it's not a good strategy.
No, it isn't.
Okay,
And so-
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, that the rationale is because the things that they did. You know what's great to have one leader if he or she is brilliant. If they're not, you end up with the Caspian Sea being drained and all sorts of abandoned rusting machinery on the countryside and not enough stuff. You know, like going nuts for a pair of Levi's. Shit, these were on sale at JCPenney. You know. You bring a couple pairs of jeans to Korea, you could sell them, and they'll sell them to somebody in North Korea somehow through the black market because you know that they're getting screwed by it. And the cult of personality, we think it's bad with Dumb Donnie. The Kim cult is crazy. That fat stupid kid, he has no reason to be in charge, except they love the family. He's not even attractive to look at. You know, he's not even a good figurehead. He looks like a petulant, fat, spoiled child. And he's the only fat person in North Korea. Everybody else is kwashiorkor or malnourished. And yeah, so that's my own take on that. And there was even a restaurant, wasn't it in Toronto, that was a Korean restaurant, but it was run by North Koreans, and they were sending money back to North Korea because that's how they were getting money into there, by people buying the Korean food. There was a nurse with whom I worked whose wife is native South Korean, and she would make this kimchi that was better. If you ever had kimchi, you've never had it like.
Have you?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, you would love it. You would love it. Being from Buffalo, you would love it because it's fermented cabbage. It has either you love the smell or you don't, but it tastes incredible because it's fermented, but you won't get drunk. But the vinegar, oh my goodness. And you know the way they originally or they do it is they bury it underground. Other places when they make it they just put it in the fridge. But this guy's wife would make kimchi that was incredible. And at the time, so this was 20 years ago, Subic Bay was being rebuilt in the Philippines into a Korean shipyard. They could have sold that kimchi to the Korean workers, and they would have around the block. Imagine line people two lines deep in a circle around here and the next street and around to come to your door. Every day would be like that. You'd be printing money. But she didn't want to do it because this was in Hawaii. Going to the Philippines was trivial, you know. But That's how that goes. Okay. So, okay, Rob, State of the Union.
Oh, that's like, yeah, I got so much to say about the Democrats, what they did to make themselves look like fools. I mean, like, I get that. There's people that disagree with Donald Trump, that they hate Donald Trump. But when you got a World War II veteran that's being honored, stand up and clap for him. I don't care if you guys disagree with the Republicans and that. Stand up and honor the guy. I mean, that was totally disrespectful. I mean, I have family that's in the military, and that's disrespectful to sit down, not clap, especially for a World War II veteran. There's not many left of them, and they're gonna sit down on their hands. It just pushes people away to see that the people that are on the fence, that could push them away. People will start voting for another thing. I mean, I look at the State of the Union like presidents just patting themselves on the back, but the dishonor a World War II veteran, that bothered me a lot.
You know what? I get that, but what bothered me was giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Connor Hellebuck.
No, I disagree with that. No.
So he cheapens the whole thing.
Well, explain why he didn't deserve it.
He's an athlete and he's part of the team. He was the goalie, so it's he's a part of the team. He's not the whole team. He's not an individual athlete. He's a team athlete. That's how he won his gold medal. So give everybody one or don't give him one, because it's not like hockey is not the preeminent sport in the U.S. And this guy, nobody. If you're not I knew who he was because I'm a hockey fan. If you're not a hockey fan, they can't even spell his name right. So it's trivializing this highest civilian honor, and also not giving it to anybody else. I mean, they don't give a new car to the first star. You know, for people that don't know hockey, that members of the media select after the game the 3 stars. They can be from either team or whatever. But that's the thing that bugs me. That's an official record, and it's all opinions. Because even if some cities like Pittsburgh or Chicago, even if your team totally drops the ball, if you're shut out, they will still give the 3rd star to one of the home guys. You know, so the 3 stars are a farce. Back in 2007, Alex Ovechkin got ejected from a game when Danny Briere was going off the ice. And
I remember that.
Checked him into the door, and he was ejected from the game, and he still got the 2nd star. That's what I said. The 3 stars are a farce.
That definitely is true. But I mean, like the medal. These medals are for like heroes, like even like policemen, firefighters, EMTs. You know, if I'm gonna give a medal to those, I'd give it to anybody in the military. Like I say, your heroes, your firefighters, EMTs, policemen. They're going out there and saving lives.
And that I think that the people not standing up, if your vote is based on that, that's a very small, that's like a single issue voter thing. I mean, you cast your vote for who you want, but it's like my spouse's mother, who's a one issue voter. And it's how they stand on this one issue. I'm not going to say it because it's nobody's business, but
I could tell you the issue that I have, and it started with Bush. It's the economy. It's helping the working class. It's helping that's what. And then the problem is there's so much problems going on around in America, like in Minnesota, and that they're not focused on your hardworking American citizens that get up every day, bust their butts. How about fulfilling our paychecks?
Well, that's what James Carville said 30 years ago. It's the economy, stupid. You know, if you go on the economy, that's why the transactional dumb Donnie is always about winning and making deals. That guy can't make a deal for anything. He's put put multiple companies out of business just trying to enrich himself. He sucks at making deals. And Taco Tuesday is a big day because Trump always chickens out. That's why they call him Taco. And he gives up the ship for his deal. We made a tremendous deal, and that's why he lies right to you, like Baghdad Bob or the Emperor's New Clothes. The economy is doing great. The economy is doing wonderfully.
No, it's not.
When it's tanking. You know, when ground
Yeah.
beef costs $6.50 a pound.
Gas prices haven't even went down. Gas prices have stayed the same.
Yeah, and
Along with Biden, who I'm not a big fan of either.
well, that's what I mean. I'm vilifying from each side, and I look like a Republican when he's in there, and I look like a liberal, a Democrat when. So I'm just yelling. At least I'm not yelling at the clouds.
Because I look at it this way. I see what the politicians are doing. Yeah, they try to get you to have black versus white, man versus woman. You know, they want you to do that. But in reality, most of the politicians and Donald Trump are rich. Well, what about the hardworking Americans? They're a bit like closer to that lower class. So it's really the rich versus the poor.
All politics are local. You know, you don't care about what's being done in Israel or Iran if your house is being foreclosed. You know, and you got to take care of your own home first.
Or you don't care if you get fired or laid off, because the first things first is you're thinking about getting a new job, finding a new job.
Well, back when I was in paramedic school, one of the instructors said, make a list of the 10 things that bother you the most, and then rank them by what effect they have on your life. You know, because that's the same idea of the Hard Rock Cafe. Think global, act local, because the sum is the total of the parts.
Yeah, like you look
Hard
at
Rock Cafe.
Yeah, that's what that says. Think global, act local.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on all their stuff.
But if you think about it, you're going to a local, like,
Wow.
mom and pop store.
What?
This ties into the war.
What's up?
They hit the building where the supreme leader of Iran is, and they killed him.
Ali Khamenei? Wow. Because that makes it.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe they didn't because Trump said it, and he makes things up.
He makes things up out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that he did die.
Oh, you heard it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you remember that World War II story about a decrypted message, when they were meeting in Casablanca, Morocco, but it was translated as Casablanca, the White House, and they said, if we hit the White House, they will not stop. They will not stop till we're dead. And they said, we can't do that. And so that was a tragic translational miss. But I remember when I was in med school and I said, wow, all these Muslim girls are so pretty. And of course, because I wasn't Muslim, that I couldn't get anywhere with them. And I remember, what's his name? A guy who graduated a year ahead of me said, and he's gay, and he said, all Muslim women are beautiful. And I can get that, because even the Farsi women, who are ethnically based different than the Arab women or the others, beautiful women, and they cover them in a chador.
I don't understand why they gotta be covered.
But because it's less risk to the men. A guy can be fat and slovenly, or he can be an Adonis and walk around without a shirt, but the women have to stay covered up, because if he sees an ankle, he might get all horny and have sex with her. It's a double standard. That's what it is. But it's also the reason why women worship behind the men in the mosque, because they're all leaning down and they don't want the guys looking at the asses in front of them. No, I'm serious.
I don't.
That's why, because they are. It's like the Orthodox Jewish communities where they worship separately, separated by the curtain. The really, like the Shabbat, what is it? Starts with an H. They're in New York City, but
Hamas?
no, the Jewish people.
Hindu?
No, the Jewish people.
He means
Hebrew.
Hasidic.
No, it was. But the Shabbat, the Hasidics that are even more ancient. You know that there's a term from, because they were, well, whatever. But they in their temples, the women are here and the men are there. Or I don't know if it's the other side, because they read it the different way. But that sexual separation is all those lead to a bunch of repressed people. When you restrict something, that makes people want it more and more. That's why the teens will get their cigarettes. Why prohibition, people will still drink. That's why, and sex is a driver. And when you restrict that from people, then you're telling a magnet not to be attracted to something. You're putting,
The redactions in the Epstein files.
yeah.
Now I want to really see what's redacted.
Well, you know what's not redacted was the grinder in all those cities with Republicans. You know, because say what you will about Hunter Biden, but at least they were all adult women.
I mean, I can't believe what Hillary Clinton said. Oh, I never met Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, there's 1,000 pictures of you standing next to him.
I don't think there are.
No, there aren't. There's
there are
pictures of Bill.
pictures.
There's pictures of Bill.
No,
but-
there was a picture of her, like, playing with his tie, Jeffrey Epstein's tie, literally. And it was like, I've never met the guy.
No, if she said, I don't recall meeting him. There's people that you've met that I've met 30 years ago that I don't recall. You know, they say, we met at this place, and that might remind me, but I might not recall. And I have better recall than Hillary Clinton, I think. But
But I don't understand why both of these, both sides of the aisle are going after each other, because they're both guilty.
that's the whole
because of
point, that they're deposing Bill Clinton because they don't want Donald Trump to have the light on him. His name's in there literally
Oh, yeah.
thousands of times.
A lot of anybody that had the money to go to the anybody that had money,
Little St. James.
literally went to Epstein Island.
Well, and that's the thing. When you hear about all these stories that people say from like 30 years ago that they were sexually assaulted, I never saw, if that was happening around me, it never happened like right there. The only time I went on a cruise, and the guy I went with, he picked up this German woman, and they had sex in front of me, but I was so drunk I didn't even care or notice, you know. But that's the only time and that was consensual between the two of them. So I don't know when all the raping was going on, you know, because it really, if I find out that John Smith is a rapist, that makes me sick, you know. Like I can't imagine how tough it is to be an actress, or the woman from South Carolina, Nancy Mace, to be sexually assaulted and then talk about it, because that's humiliating, that's soul crushing, nightmares every night. PTSD is real, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like it's almost like the Catholic churches and these like the altar boys. They don't really want to come out because it makes them uncomfortable.
Well, everybody's going to think they're gay. And, you know, what is even the gay dude who's big and burly says, I'm not gay, I just suck dick. Well, that kind of makes you gay. I mean, and now that's why the acceptance of it, good, you know, like
Acceptance of what?
being gay. People can be more open now. You know, it's not the banner of, oh, you're a deviant, you know, like in 74, they took it out of the DSM. We have 14 minutes left, and so do you want?
Well, you have worthless versus priceless.
Okay, we'll do that one. So I was talking with this a little bit to Richard last week, that priceless is you can't pay enough for it. Worthless is nobody will pay you anything for it.
Right.
So it's give and take. But at the same time, I have an example of something that's both worthless and priceless. Say you have a piece of the cross that Jesus was on, and the provenance is there. That piece of wood is worthless by itself, but it's priceless. You could never, when you have possession of that, nobody could ever pay you enough. All the money in the world, you wouldn't give it up. So that makes it worthless and priceless at the same time. Or a family heirloom, you know, that because the Pawn Stars are like the flip side of the Antique Roadshow. Because the Pawn Stars say just because it's old doesn't mean it's valuable. You know, so if you have a book from the 1600s, you think ipso facto it's a book, but they'll say, best I can do is $5. You're like, what the hell, dude? You know? And so worthless versus priceless, because really, do you think that Salvatore Mundi, that was about 10 years ago now, it sold for $450 million? Is it a $450 million artwork, or is that a tax dodge? You know, is it worth that? Because how much could you pay for the Mona Lisa? I mean, do they insure those, or are they uninsurable because it would be astronomical to pay out on it?
The weird part is there's so many Mona Lisas out there that, I mean, what's the original?
Well, the original is it's small and it's painted on wood. It's
Yeah.
actually really small. It's like a 16 by 12.
Yeah, small.
People are going to sit there and lie, oh, I got the original of it. Where is the original?
Well, do you remember that, what's the story of the Union, the picture of George Washington, or the guy carrying the flag and George Washington, the other one blowing the whistles? Do you know who had the original of that? Ross Perot had that in his office.
Ross Perot.
H. Ross Perot, Henry Ross Perot, Annapolis class of 54. He was president of his class all 4 years. So to vilify him as out of touch or stupid, the guy made $1 billion twice. And he sold electronic data systems, and then he did it again with the Houston Ship Channel. Anybody else? That's what I think. Tell me what you think about it.
Well, it's called the greater fool theory. Somebody says, you were foolish to buy this painting for that much money.
Uh-huh.
And then you say, well, maybe I was, but now maybe somebody else is out there who's going to pay me more in the future. So you don't know if someone's out there, but you're taking a chance. Somebody's going to want to pay you for it.
That is, I get you, because I was thinking of an alternate theory.
I heard an interesting story about the American Basketball Association.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yep, that was the competition of the NBA.
And they had the red, white, and blue ball.
Yep, that was. They need to bring that back.
That was cool.
Wow,
Yeah.
you guys know a lot. Okay, so in the 60s, the NBA was very formal, and they had rules like how the players could dress and
Right.
stuff, like how they had to have their hair, etc. And they considered themselves like an elite sport. But the people were more interested in baseball and football, and it was going down, down. And so a group of people, entrepreneurs, said, hey, why don't we form our own teams and form our own league? They call it the ABA. And they were very savvy as to how they advertised it. So, for example, they said, we're not going to have all the rules that the NBA has. All right? We're not going to have all the rules.
Hi, Angela.
So we're not going to have rules as to how you have to have your
Right.
hair and even what kind of sneakers you wear. We're not going to have that rule, and how you behave on the court. You know, in the NBA, you could never slam dunk. You could, but nobody did. They thought, oh,
Tacky.
That's that's playground stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
In the ABA, I mean, you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah,
right?
reminds me of that movie, Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell.
That was what it was about. An
Yeah.
ABA team that's trying to get into the NBA when they're going to absorb 1 or 2 teams into it.
Yep, and him.
So,
So what's interesting is that it started to track. Oh, they have another rule that they didn't follow from the NBA. NBA said, we got to deal with the colleges. And they've been our lifeline for so long. You want to play in the NBA, you got to graduate. And the ABA said, we don't got any deal with the colleges. If you want to come after your first year in college without a degree, come on. If you want to skip college, come on. We'll take anybody. They got a lot of good players that way. So the thing about whether it's worth the price, there was an owner who saw that the ABA eventually, there were offers on the table from the NBA. And they were saying, okay, let's do some kind of merger. We don't want all your teams. We would like this, and this team. And there was an owner who said, let us think about it. And he went to those owners and he said, okay, they're willing to give you X amount of money. I think it was something like $50,000 a team. He said, here's 55. I want to own all your teams. Now they're dealing with one person. And he very shrewdly said to the NBA, okay, you can have those teams for $50,000 each. I have the ability to write it off and say, okay, with one condition. I would like 5% of the amount of money that each team makes in perpetuity. He said, just 5%. If they take a loss, then it would be a negative amount of money. Well, that deal proved to be a windfall because those teams, They gave him over $100 million in revenue. Until finally the NBA said, look, we got our top lawyers here. We're going to take this to court. It was an unfair agreement tilted toward you. And you have made more than you need to make. So they hammered out a goodbye deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's $100 million. You get the hell out of here. I mean, but you got to be, that's the thing to look forward to, because people want the immediate deal. And so, yeah, worthless or priceless. Oh,
and there's the movie Woodstock.
I've heard of it, but I didn't watch it.
The movie Woodstock was an afterthought because the Woodstock Festival contacted all the record labels and said, who's willing to bid to come and record the festival? And nobody was interested because they said live albums don't sell, except for one. One said, okay, we'll take a chance. We'll send our engineers down there. We'll set up all the mics, and we'll give you a nice, beautiful record album. And that festival said, record album? We want a movie. You can also do the record album, but we want a movie. And they said, oh, man, all right, what's it going to take to close this deal? And they said, the Woodstock people said, give us $10,000 and you can make the movie. And Atlantic Records said, okay. So they hired a amateur guy with a camera and said, okay, you film it. We're worried about the sound. Just give us a good image quality, okay? He says, okay. So they did that. Now, here we are. I think it's the year 2005. And he's old now. Ahmed Aragon, he's owned it forever, and he says, yeah, I got to sell this thing before I die, So Sony comes along. We'll buy it. And he said, well, you're going to be buying everything. You're going to be buying my entire record catalog. Let's negotiate. They said, well, we'd be willing to pay $100,000. And he said, make it $200,000. We got a deal. They said, okay. And then Sony said, where you going? Where you going? Where you going? What about the Woodstock movie? And he thought, the thing I paid $10,000 for? But he doesn't say that. He goes, oh, yeah, okay. What's your offer for that? They said, we'll give you $10 million for that. And he had to calm himself and go, I don't know. He goes, all right. So we got $10 million for something he paid $10,000 for.
Uh-huh. And that's what I was getting at. If your main thought about paying for it, you may just love it instead of the greater fool theory. You love it, and then you fall out of love with it. And then you sell it instead of airing it. So let's see. Do we have time for something fun? Punch the monkey.
There's in the Tokyo Zoo. This happens every so often. They don't know why.
Yeah.
The mother rejects the baby, and the mother monkey rejected the baby monkey.
I'm sorry to interrupt you because I have the sad story first. That there was in a zoo, I think it was in Cleveland or somewhere in Ohio, a gorilla mother gave birth, and then there was a fight, and the baby gorilla got all beaten up. They'd euthanized the baby gorilla. They had the hours after birth, the baby was so damaged in the fight, it was better to put it to sleep. That's sad. So go back to your punch story.
So now they thought that the baby would die without a mother. And so somebody at the zoo on the staff said, oh, what the hell? And they went and they wanted to find a stuffed animal to give it some comfort.
Yep.
So they gave it this stuffed orangutan. And that baby just grabbed that orangutan and
it
was
clinging
holding it, right? And that baby will not let that stuffed animal go. When the feeding time comes, it takes the stuffed animal with them, eats it, takes it back. People of Tokyo have fallen in love with Punch the Monkey. And that stuffed animal, which sells at like the Walmart.
It's IKEA.
Is it IKEA? It's selling out. There's cameras on this thing, throughout the day. So what's the moral of the story? You need something symbolic to represent your mother?
Something to hold on to, yeah. because now the advance is Punch is climbing up on the zookeeper that has the food, and he's starting to integrate with the other monkeys. He's starting to play
Yeah.
with them, and they're grooming him. And he got on the back of an older one and rode it.
It's starting like he's feeling adopted. It started to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in reality, he would have just been ignored in the woods and just died of a broken heart. I don't understand why they call it hospitalism now. That we call it anaclitic depression because that is cruel medical research. They took chimpanzee babies and took away from their mother and left them untouched. And they just gave them the food and
Right.
they ended up
Yeah.
dying. That's 50 years ago. That's just cruelty to animals.
It took me a while to get rid of my stuffed animal.
Oh,
Well, 10 years old.
sure.
I don't want to get rid of it.
I slept with a teddy bear until I got married because I needed something to hold on to. I shit you not.
I believe that there is a pillow in the shape of a human.
That in
Have
Japan.
you heard about this?
Yeah.
And you can buy it so you have something to hug?
Yeah, and there's an arm that goes over it. It's for Japanese women that are single. Okay, so we have 50 seconds left. So I have a joke for you, and it's clean.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an interviewing, asking a medical student, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And the interviewee says, I'd say my biggest weakness is listening.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I get it. You get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He misunderstood.
Yeah, intentionally. My biggest weakness is listening. Oh, goodness. Okay, so in the last 20 seconds, we did have one visitor. I don't get the stats anymore. I don't know who's watching, but if you want to, any comments, you can leave them on socials. If you have my number, you can text me. Paula, I always thank you for your evaluations. And the bus screeches to a halt in the station. Have a great week, y'all.
Oh, she gives you evaluation?
Oh yeah, she every week. Yeah, the stuff she likes and the stuff she doesn't. But she doesn't not like a lot of stuff. She's a very she likes my stuff a lot.